We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. Hi everyone, I'm Shannon Bandler from the Wendover Corporation. Welcome to today's webinar, Marketing to the Growing Business. I'd like to introduce Frank Craig. He's our VP of Sales. Frank spent 9 years in the banking industry before joining the Wendover Corporation. He has a background in helping organizations identify and pursue new opportunities, and we're really excited to hear what he has to say today. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Shannon. I look forward to having a very interactive webinar with everyone today. I will be asking a couple of questions. There'll be some prizes that we'll give away for correct answers. So the subject is marketing to growing business, what we need to know. So before we even really dive in, I'm going to start off with a question. What do you think we need to know before we pick up the phone or before we send out a mailer? And for any questions that I ask, if you guys can just type in the question section your answer, and I'll give it a couple of seconds while you guys type that question in and the answer to that question on what we feel we need to uncover before we even start marketing. So it looks like from a lot of the answers that we had for the questions was that how many employees they have, also what the customer needs. So Kim and John and Christine, I'll definitely get out a prize pack to you guys. Thank you for your answers. And yes, that is something that we definitely need to know. We need to know what the objectives are, and is there a trigger event? Why do I mention why is there a trigger event? Well, it's pretty important because most trigger events means that a company is either growing or it means that they're suffering. In this case, we want to focus on the ones that are growing. Either way, the trigger event is going to help position us to market. So it's time to move. Why is this an important opportunity? It's an important opportunity that usually occurs between 7 and 10 years in the life of a company. Think about your company, how many changes it's gone through growth opportunities. Usually it's 7 to 10 years from opening that business or outgrowing. Even if they're going to stay in their current location, the last time that they reevaluated some of their services was the last time that they moved. We feel that this is a very important trigger event. In marketing, it's called trigger event. In many cases, the biggest and most disruptive trigger event next to a merger is when somebody moves. Let's take a step back and think about that. A lot of people think during the course of an office move, what's in it for them? Well, if we're planning our marketing session, it can be pre-move, post-move, or during move. So what do you think what company do you think should target a company that's pre-move? And I'll give you guys a second to answer that question. Again, the question is, what type of company should be focused on a company that is moving, but before they actually move? Yep, furniture, post-move services, relocation, budget planning, communication, all great answers. So this might surprise you. When somebody relocates their office, at minimum 20 vendor relationships are up for grabs. Think about it. When you move your accounting firm, are they too small now? Do we need to grow? The law firm, maybe it was a 1 or 2 person law office. Now that the company's growing, maybe that law firm now needs 5, now your company needs 5 or 6 lawyers. Banking, signage, just a few small ones that people sometimes don't even think about. Here's another list. Digital marketing. Think about it. You guys can really help your partners with marketing. If you think about outlining everything to them, one of the answers said, we try to help with the budget and help with the whole relocation process. Absolutely. We're going to talk about that and further in depth about engagement marketing. But why not create a partnership with the local printing guy down the street? Because when that company moves, they're going to need all their paperwork with letterhead changed. They're going to need their business cards changed, their mailers, their envelopes, everything changed. It's a great win-win opportunity to try to get a decent relationship, and maybe they can return the favor as well. But entertainment, dining establishments over the course of a 10-year relationship can equal $1 million. Let's just hone in on that for a minute. $1 million is up for grab with dining for a small 30-person office. Average is about $2,000 per year for employee. You have about 2 to 3 months to change that person's habits. So that's a big one. Furniture. Knowing a trigger event when the last time somebody moved is huge. They probably have outdated office furniture. Telecom. What type of phone system are they using? Are they using Avaya? Is it an NEC? Is it, all of those different types of products that they have? And we'll get into a couple of clever ways to try to market that as well. But just a quick, small sample of 20-plus vendor relationships that's up for grabs when a company relocates. And again, some of these are before the move, some are during, and some are after. So another question, do you think it's important to engage these people before they go to the internet to earn their business? And I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to answer this. Again, the question is, do you think it's important to engage these people early before they go to the internet? Good, I like the responses. Mostly all yeses. The next question I'm going to ask is, what do you think the time frame should be for when we engage these prospects? And I'll give you guys a couple of seconds. I see 6 months. I see 3 months. I see a year, 9 months. Exactly. We want to get in. The earlier, the better. We want to get in. So 6 months to a year. We really want to get it as soon as possible. Absolutely, John. Absolutely. And why is it important to get in early? Well, it's important to get in early because you can build trust, you can build credibility, and you can be a resource for them. Being a resource is going to get you in the door and win the business more times than being a salesperson. Larry Dillon, our CEO, tells us a story about how he used to get in early with people. He would, go around through his networking groups and find out who's moving, who's not, knock on the person's door, identify 10 mistakes that someone's going to make during the course of a move. And that would be his in. He would identify the 4 to 5 mistakes right off the bat and say, well, hey, Marcy, did you think about the boss's desk? How are you guys planning on getting that out? Because it's a custom desk. Oh, Larry, I didn't even think of that. Well, that's just one mistake. I'm sure we can do a walkthrough if you'd like and find 10 other problem issues that might occur, and we can resolve them. And he would win the deals at a higher price because he was a consultant that helped them and took the time to help them. So, how are you currently marketing? Do you guys have a process? And that is my next question. How many of you have a process in place for marketing to the prospects? And I'll give you guys probably about 30 seconds to answer that. I see a lot of no's and I see a couple of yeses. And I see a couple that says we do. It's your system. Great. What we've found is that on average, when we speak to our clients, our prospects, they don't have a process. We were talking to one of the largest manufacturers the other day, and we asked them about their marketing and their whole process. And they looked at us that like we had 3 heads. They said, oh, we're starting to work on it. We're a 100-year-old company. And we came up with, just brainstormed and to help them create a process, because you need to have a process. So let's talk about that. Digital marketing, an effective way. Cold calling, social media, search engine marketing, business information sites, daily deals. Depending on what industry you're in. Does your marketing department look like this, where there's a whiteboard and they're having meetings to talk about how to increase sales and how to create processes? The ideal process is fairly simple. You need a couple of things to be successful. And I'm going to throw one more question out at you. There'll probably be a few more, but for right now, what percentage of companies do you think do not have a process in place? Again, that question is, how many companies out there do not have a marketing process in place to execute on sales opportunities? This is going to shock you. I see a lot of 70s, a lot of 80s, a couple 50s. 2 people nailed it. 90%. So Kim and GS, I will send you guys something as well. But absolutely, 90% of companies out there don't have a process in place to execute on sales opportunities. And if you've ever talked with me before, you know I'm going to throw this stat at you. 90% of sales teams will make one attempt and never call anyone again, whether they get the person on the phone or leave a voicemail. The other thing that is common that I talk about is, why is that? Well, the number one reason a sales team or sales professional won't make their quota, they didn't set enough appointments. But why didn't they set enough appointments? And we're going to talk about that right now. Is it because of leadership? Is it because of expectations, coaching, a CRM, or their follow-up? Or are they just a victim that says, we tried our best and it didn't work? Leadership. Why do you think leadership is important? We're going to toss that question out. Again, why do you think leadership is important in marketing? Set the bar, lead by example. Some great ones coming through. Exactly. You have to lead by example, and you need to set the bar, and you need to outline what the whole objective is before you start the campaign, before you start prospecting. They have to have all the tools in their tool belt to be effective. If you're an effective leader, your team knows what to say, when to say, how the whole process works. They're not changing scripts 10 calls in. They have trust in you, and they have the ability to manage through whatever you've given them as far as the process. So leadership, it's been described as a process of social influence in which one person can enlist the aid and support of others to accomplish a common task. Some understand a leader as simply someone people follow or someone who guides or directs others. I feel a leader is somebody that's willing to work on the front lines with their team, give them all of the tools, and let them build their success, but be there for them at the same time. And how do you do that? You have to start the process, and the process is all about marketing. So what type of leader are you? Whether you're in a management role or you're in the calling role or the sales professional role, everyone is a leader in their own right. To your clients, you're a leader. You're their trusted advisor. We need to think in terms of that, of I am a leader. So I'm sure we can all think back to a time when we had a great leader who influenced us, whether it was good or bad. Some of the worst leaders help make the best leaders. And some of the best leaders, they just keep passing on their knowledge. And another thing to think about, do you lead by actions or words? And this here ties into your client relationship. This leadership is all about how are you with your clients and your team. So do you lead by actions or words? Are you approachable? Are your clients able to reach you? Are you, during your cold calling or digital marketing, are you leaving them a clear voicemail with your phone number, with your name, with the company, a time that you're going to call them back? Are you setting those expectations on why that person should build the trust and credibility and relationship with you? Any questions on leadership before we tie into expectations and why expectations are important to marketing? So why is expectation so important? Ties into leadership. How many of you set SMART goals? And I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to answer that question. And if not, how many of you actually know what a SMART goal is without looking at the screen? All the time. Good. I'm glad to see that a lot of people are using it all the time. When I was in the financial field, we always talked about SMART goals. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Why are they so important? Well, if you're an effective leader, you know how to set these SMART goals for your team, for your clients, and your team knows how to set these goals for themselves. So it's very important. Does your team know the expectations? SMART. Are they specific? Are they measurable? Are they attainable, relevant, and time-bound? Having SMART goals can help define their expectations, and it can increase effectiveness. Why is that? Because if I gave you a list of 50 people to call, you don't know what your objective is, you don't know how to be measured, you don't know how it's attainable, and you're probably going to question, why is it relevant? And when do I need to do it? I might have a conversation with somebody, and I'm going to make 100 calls. Great. whose fault is it if I go to them a week later and say, how'd you make out with those 100 calls? It would be my fault because I didn't say, hey, Beverly, we need to have 100 calls done by the end of day tomorrow. I can measure it because we have 100. It's specific, it's attainable, and it's relevant to why we're calling. So here's just a quick expectations for daily or weekly. 100 dials a day. You're going to have 10 conversations or 20 conversations. Out of them, let's try to set 10 appointments. And out of 10 appointments, we should realistically close 2 sales. We have other people out there that year to date have closed 200 plus appointments, generated lots of business for their company. Others that are knocking it out of the park with 100 dials a day, setting numerous appointments and closing deals. But you have to have those SMART goals. You have to have everything defined, wrapped up nicely for everyone. So it's important that your team knows the expectations. Any questions on expectations before we go into coaching and why coaching is important? So quickly recap, in order for us to market to growing businesses, we need to have leadership, we need to have expectations, and set SMART goals. And I will tie all of these together for you. And now we need to have coaching, effective coaching, whether that's us coaching our clients or leadership coaching us. We can't just give them the basics and think that they're going to do it on their own. Again, we got to give them the tools. Maybe you do a couple sales calls with them. You help them identify their top prospects. You review and role play. Calling scripts, I'm going to stop right there. Calling scripts. How many of you use calling scripts and you can tell it's a script? Okay, I'm liking the results so far. Not too many of you. Good. One thing, and next time you get a telemarketer that calls you or a sales professional that calls you, just listen to them and see how they sound. And see how they sound, and sometimes throw like a soft objection or agree with them and see where they go. 90% of the time, sales professionals or telemarketers don't listen to the person. They ignore the 80-20 rule. We're supposed to listen 80% of the time. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Is your team, or are you, when you're marketing, sound like that? What's the company philosophy? What are the buying patterns and overcoming objections? So we have to know what that company's philosophy is. Here's a little secret. If you're calling into a large corporation, before you even do that, you should really touch base on their website, see who their competition is, see what their goals are. Look up their investor portfolio, their 2014 year in review. Get as much information so that you're an expert when you call them. And now you know what the objections are going to be and what the buying patterns should be. Follow-ups. Again, number one reason a sales team or professional will not meet their quota, lack of follow-up. Why? Their day becomes so busy that they miss appointments or follow-ups. Nobody looks backwards. You're out sick, the holidays, whatever excuse you want to throw out there. There's no process in place, not enough contacts or prospects. So remember, we need to follow up. And now I'm going to ask you guys to grade yourselves. How many of you, or grade yourself on follow-ups? Are you an A, a B, a C, a D? You can give yourself a number grade or a letter grade on following up. Okay, I see a lot of B's. A lot of B's. A couple of C's, a lot of B's, an A. Um, so I'm going to ask a follow-up question to that. On your follow-ups, what does that process look like? Do you make 1 attempt, 2 attempts, 3 attempts, or 5 or more attempts for follow-ups? And you can just type that in real quickly. So 2, see a couple of 2s, a couple of 3s, a couple of 5s. I got a couple till I get them. 3 or more attempts. Absolutely. On average, it's about 5 to 7 attempts to get somebody on the telephone. So with that, that can become very frustrating, especially if you don't have a process in place to manage it. And that goes to my next one. CRMs. How many of you have a CRM? You just type in me. Okay. Okay. Looks like a lot of you do. Follow up. How many of you actually like it and use it? Okay. So I see a couple like it. There's a lot of, I don't really use it or I don't like it. Some are saying great, love the CRM. So what do we need in a CRM to be effective to market? Well, you need to have a way to track the successes and opportunities of your prospecting clients, right? We talked about that earlier. You shared that as well. Most CRMs are slow and complicated. So how do we overcome the challenges of a slow, complicated CRM? Well, you need to have some tools. What do those tools look like? Ease of the program, a dashboard, management trackability. You have to have the necessary tools. So in this case, my CRM looks like this. I have my follow-ups. This is a demo account, so when you see that it's behind, I do practice what I preach, but in this case, this is a demo, and it says it right there, demo account. These are follow-ups. Look, the first thing is back from August. It's not my latest one that I need to follow up with somebody from October. It's all the way back in August. Why? Because we need something quickly to get back up to current with them. What else? And a most recent opened emails. Who's been opening my emails? And then what appointments do I have today? You guys need a dashboard or a process that outlines those 3 key things to effective appointment setting. Who am I behind with? Who's opened my emails? And what appointments do I have for today, the next 30 days? Does that make sense? So an ease of the program from a nice simple dashboard. What appointments are past due? Who do I have in the future? And what can I do? Then you need to have a CRM that will allow you to market to who you want to market to. So in this case, I'm going to do Philadelphia and a quick search. And again, this is my CRM. I'm sure you guys have CRMs that you use. I'm just using this as an example. So before I make a call, now we're really getting into the process. We have the leadership that said we have to make 100 calls today. The expectations are I have 10 conversations. I close somebody this week, right? So how do we do that? We need to have the process. So what notes are in here? My pre-call research. I'm going to look to see where the company is located first and foremost. Do I know of anybody in the area? So I bring up a map. I can get directions. I also see that Rachel is the key contact. Now I can do a web search. And I'm going to ask a question, how many of you do pre-call research? Okay, good. It looks like a lot of you guys do pre-call research. So, quickly on your CRM, If you can manage this, great. It needs to have the ease where I can stay on my prospect or customer and go through some notes. How many of you use LinkedIn for prospecting? I see a lot of you guys do. We recommend using LinkedIn. Why? Especially if you guys are busy throughout your day, have lots of appointments, right? Have a clerical person go through this. Say, okay, who do you know on LinkedIn? One click of a button brings up who we share a connection with at this company. So I've shared connections with Ann Collin, Joseph Boucher. So I could reach out to these guys and say, oh, Michael Moore. Hey, Mike, can you make an introduction for me for Joe over here? Can you tell me what their buying habits are, what they're looking to do? Right? One click. And then we need to be able to make the touches. We talked about how some of you are using two touches, some are doing 7, some are doing until you get them on the phone and until you close the deal. So how easy and nice is it if you can make one attempt and do 2 touches at the same time? So if your CRM can do it, great. You can make a quick call, and this is something that we kind of recommend. We really recommend mailers, emails, a voicemail. Voicemail preceded, followed up with an email, 3 times more likely to be opened. Because who opens an email that says, hi, this is Frank Craig calling with ABC Company. I just sent you over some information on the latest trends in digital marketing. I hope you find this information useful and I'll follow up with you in a couple of days. Who opens that email? Probably somebody that A, is looking for digital marketing or has an interest. So one click, send the email, advance the record, move on to the next person. So again, with the dashboard, a CRM needs to look how you have your process in place. If your process is, who am I behind with, who's opened my email and what appointments, you need to set your dashboard up that way. If your process of engaging people early is doing pre-call research, you need to be able to do it quickly without jumping back and forth between several programs. And then from a management trackability, you need to be able to have reporting, whether that's daily or weekly. And the program needs to be able to do that for you. Questions so far? No questions?
Actually, I see a question, Frank. So Kim is asking, do you think voicemail first, email second as follow-up, or email first and a call to follow up after are the most effective?
We recommend that an email is paired with that voicemail. We used Larry's 15-year-old or 16-year-old nephew to come in and get us at bats with an industry we've never done business with. We've had a couple of professional salespeople try to get us at bats with them over the years. And we told Dylan, out of these 300 prospects, we want you to, reach out to these people every single day, and here is the process. He got us at bat with, out of those 300, I think it was like 25, and we closed, I think, about 15 of them. And this was his campaign. Hi, this is Dylan Casey, calling with the Wendover Corporation. Great article over on MoveMyBiz.com that Larry Dillon was just interviewed on, 10 mistakes when choosing a commercial real estate agent, or choosing a commercial mover, choosing the latest restaurant for your company, right? And people were just flocking to that webinar because we were giving them engagement marketing. So we try to create a process that's very easy, and that's what we recommend, is the voicemail followed by the email simultaneously. One click, you left the voicemail, by the time you're off the phone, the email's already sent. Then you can go back and track who's opened your emails. So if we can do that, it's very effective. So again, you want to have your dashboard, create your dashboard to how you want it. What's your process look like to be successful? And, if you can send out the emails and the voicemail at the same time, that's 2 touches. And it took you 20 seconds to do it. So, and again, your competition's only making 1 attempt on average. 90% of the competition only makes 1 attempt. So marketing tips. Let's talk about some marketing tips for us. Social media. We touched on LinkedIn, data.com, Jigsaw, right? For how many of you guys use Jigsaw or data.com, Manta, any of those other, free resources to try to get other contacts at companies? Looks like a lot of you do. Great. Another big thing is digital marketing, lead generation. We're in the lead generation business. I do not sell on webinars, so there's other people out there as well. But provide free, helpful information to people. There's lots of great resources out there, whether it's MoveMyBiz.com, it's a Harvard Business Journal. Lots of great resources. If you're in the restaurant industry, there's the Restaurant Association. If you're in the moving industry, there's a AMSA, tech. There's lots of resources out there. Give the gift of free information. Get in early to avoid the bidding process. All right, and 7 to 10 attempts. Why? And how many of you have ever met someone that sold somebody something over voicemail? So the question again is, how many of you know somebody or have sold somebody over voicemail? And while you're answering that, yes, this webinar will be shared afterwards, the PowerPoint and the audio. One person said they have over voicemail. And my follow-up question to you would probably be, how many voicemails did you need to leave before they called you back and bought? It probably wasn't the first call that got it done. And that's not taking anything away from you, because it's great that you were able to do that. But on average, 99.9% of people will not, if you sell somebody something, they're not going to call back or anything like that. Yes, and see, an email was sent and 2 other voicemails are left for that. But here's what I recommend, and here is my embarrassing story. If you've been on a webinar with me before or spoken to me before, you probably hear this embarrassing story, and it's not a secret anymore. But when I worked in the financial field, I got promoted and I went to buy a suit. I went to this small company you might have heard of, Joseph A. Bank. I walked in. Sales rep came right up to me, said, "Is there anything I can help you with?" What do you think I said? Again, I went in to buy a suit. What do you think I told the nice gentleman that greeted me at the door? Exactly. I'm just looking. I went in to buy a suit, but I told the gentleman I'm just looking. Why is that? So, to carry on with this embarrassing story, I was staring at and some suits, and the guy came up and said, "Oh, do you want me to do some measurements? Do you want me to get you in the suit?" I'm like, "I'm just looking, not interested." And I walked out of the store. In Pennsylvania, we like to put our competitors right across the street. So literally in this Metroplex, I walked right across the parking lot to another small company that you guys might have heard of, Men's Wearhouse. Gentleman by the name of Bernard greets me at the door. "Hello, welcome to Men's Wearhouse. If you need anything, I'll be over here." Turned to my wife and I said, "Great. I don't think I'm getting a suit today because I'm going to be hounded by everyone." I'm staring at this green, hideous suit for about 5 minutes. Bernard comes walking over. "Hello, my name is Bernard, and you are?" So my name's Frank. He goes, "What do you do, Frank?" I said, "I'm a regional financial manager." He goes, "Do you know Bill Ashley and Leon Moyer?" I said, "I do. They're my CEO and CFO." He goes, "Well, you just missed Leon. He was dropping off his shirts to be pressed, because that's something that we do here. We offer free pressing." "Oh, that's nice. So what brings you into Men's Wearhouse today?" I kind of need a suit." "Oh." He made kind of a joke. He's like, "I don't think that this is the style you're going for, is it?" And I'm like, "No, not really." And he's like, "Well, do you like the way that Bill and Leon dress?" I'm like, "Yeah, maybe not in their price range, but yeah, I like what they wear." He's like, "Oh, we have some great deals. Here's some suits. Let's go try them on." Here's the embarrassing part of this story. What do you think I walked out of that store with? Now, if you already have heard this story, don't cheat. But what do you think I walked out of Men's Wearhouse with? That's not right, Wayne. To say green suit. 3 suits, 4 suits, 1 suit. Funny, everyone's put at least 2 suits, right? 4 suits, 4 dress shirts, 4 ties, a pair of shoes, and a pretty cool pair of sandals. Where the sandals came from, I don't know. But why did he get all of that from me? He built a relationship with me. He started really honing in on the appearance that I should be presenting to people when I walk into their branch. And, he outlined, "Hey, you know what? We have buy one, get one free right now on everything in the store." Oh, so the moral of that story is he was a consultant. He asked me lots of questions. He didn't go right in for a sale, and he just let it happen. All right, and he walked out with it. He could have just sold me that green hideous suit, and I probably wouldn't have remembered his name. The guy across the street at Joseph A. Bank, I don't remember the guy's name. I've never been back to Joseph A. Bank. I remember Bernard, and this story took place probably 5-6 years ago, and I still remember the whole conversation with him. And he calls every like 6 months. "Hey Frank, just checking in on you. Haven't seen you in the store. Don't forget we offer free pressing." He's doing his follow-ups as well. Somebody put, "Good thing you were just looking for suits," after my response to what I bought. That's probably an answer that my wife gave too. But I did go in to buy a suit. So I hope that was helpful a little bit to really understand how we should market to them. Maybe a silly postcard saying, "We're inviting you to a free mixer." Or maybe it's win a new chair, win a free walkthrough, $20 off your next entree, or $10 off every digital print that minimum 100 orders. Something, give them something, get a teaser out there through a postcard, then do the voicemail with an email, see who's opened it, let people self-identify themselves, but we need to have that process in place. And if you don't have a process, whether you purchase Wendover or if you don't, We are more than happy to share some ideas with you because we just want to help people. That's what we're about. We want to help sales professionals and sales teams grow. And it's really important, 7 to 10 attempts. Follow through. If you have a mailing list, you have leads, you got names out of a mixer, whatever it is, make sure you follow up with everybody. Because, out of 100 people, 90% might not be the fit, but 10 are. And you could close some record deals. Or maybe all 10 are a perfect fit. But if you had 11 people and after the first call you stopped calling people, you'll never know about the other 10. So do the mailers, do engagement marketing. And if you haven't read Gail Goodman's book, Gail Goodman's the CEO of Constant Contact. She wrote a book. That's how confident she is that she can kick her competitors' rear ends at higher margins. She has some former CEOs of like Exxon, AT&T go around usually every 2 weeks to cities and just give a 3-hour seminar of free helpful information where all they talk about is helping growing your business. That is how to market. Give them something free. If you build that relationship with them, they are going to continue to buy from you. They're not even going to think about the competition. You want that wow moment, and you want to make it easy for them. In the earlier story about Larry, when he went through and talked about the 10 mistakes people were going to make, a lot of moving an office is challenging. And if you move the office wrong, people can quit, they can get fired, or it's very stressful and you could maybe never have the opportunity to work with that firm again. But if you identify some problem areas at bat, you want that moment where they're like, when you go to them and you say, listen, I know I'm probably higher than the other bids that you're going to get, they're going to say, let me stop you right there. You're already on board. You're already our selected vendor. So we need to make it easy. From prospecting to coaching, make it easy by understanding how you can help the prospect, client, or employee. Think of their needs, not yours. They already have their radar up saying, what's this person trying to sell me? Be genuine. Have a process in place. Talk to them. Research them. Have a consultative first call. And then when it comes time for the decision, it should be a no-brainer. They're only going to want to partner with you. And they're probably going to ask you, hey, who else do you know? I need a telecom. Who can you recommend? Or I need a mover. Or, I need a good sign guy. Or I need a good digital marketing because I need all these business cards. That's probably the number one overlooked thing is business cards and digital print when somebody relocates their office. Even if it's from a floor above or across the street, all of that changes and it's the last thing somebody thinks about. You're usually in your new location and you're calling the digital guy to be like, hey, I need all this information. How nice would it have been for you to be like, that business card's $2 a business card when everyone else is charging 99 cents because you reached out to them before they reached the panic button. And we recently did a webinar, and Larry Dillon, who's the CEO and a graduate of Wharton, went over a graph with us that he got at Wharton. And this is dated, but it had profits 9 months out to begin prospecting, 6 months, 3 months. 6 months is when they started going to the yellow pages. You guys remember what that is, yellow pages? So in today's society, that would be the internet. But once they went to the internet, the profit started shrinking. 3 months, it was pretty much gone, and the competition was higher. 9 months out, competition's low, profits are high. You get that graph going the opposite way, and now you're upside down, where we all agreed up front at the start of the webinar that we want to get in 6 months, 12 months, as soon as possible to earn their business. So we want to make it as easy as possible, that it's a no-brainer, that they want to do business with you. And I hope this was helpful. And just a quick recap before we take some more questions is in order to effectively market to growing businesses, you need to understand the business. You need to create a process. You need to have a follow-up. You need to have good leadership. And you can be a leader as well. And just continue to engage through mailers, voicemail, emails, hosting events, and getting people out there. So what questions do we have? Any additional questions? I know I skipped a lot of questions that were asked. Somebody asked, I'm not a salesperson. I work in the marketing department, and usually when we hear of processes, we have to have a meeting to discuss things. So one thing that I would probably recommend on that is, you do have to have brainstorming sessions. But those brainstorming sessions have to be effective, and there has to be an outcome. So what is the outcome? If you're going to go into a brainstorming session, you need to have a process again. You need to have objectives, and you have to have SMART goals for that meeting. What do we want to accomplish during this 40 minutes that we have? We need to talk about how to grow sales in 2015. Okay. Quickly, let's talk about what happened last year, what worked, what didn't work, why didn't it work, let's tweak it, what other options are out there. Okay, great question. What type of handout or leave behind is most effective? That's a great question. So you want something that really catches the eye. A third-party endorsement would even be better. Behavioral scientists tell you that, a third-party endorsement carries about 5 to 6 times the weight of the same information. It's kind of like Chevy and Ford. If I go to test drive the Corvette and the sales guy comes up to me and says, yeah, there's a great article on Chevy.com about the Camaro, the Corvette, and how it's so much better than Ford. Am I going to believe him? Maybe, maybe not. But if he told me, hey, Frank, there's a great article on Car and Driver that talks about the history of the Corvette, talks about the history of muscle cars, and even outlines the best bang for the buck between the Mustang, the Dodge Viper, and the Corvette, I'm probably going to believe him a little bit more, even though I know probably that both Ford and Dodge and Chevy probably give a little something to Car and Driver, but at least it's more unbiased. So a third-party endorsement would be great. Leave behind, a testimonial, something that has a little bit of information about your company, talks about how you can improve efficiency with them, whether that's office furniture, whether that's food, whether that's moving, just something that really catches their eye. It would be something I would leave behind. I hope that answered your question. So,
and we have one more question, Frank. PowerPoints are becoming less effective and unique. What interactive method works in a presentations environment?
Face-to-face is always great. Face-to-face meetings, PowerPoint. I think actually showing them firsthand that if you're going to walk in to do a presentation for somebody, have what that whole process looks like. It doesn't have to be through a PowerPoint. Maybe it's through a relocation guide that says step 1 is this, step 2 is this, step 3. This is how we're going to do everything. And that's a leave behind as well. They actually have all the information that you have. Outlining a couple of mistakes somebody might make, or PowerPoints, they're effective, but if you're just going to read everything that's on the PowerPoint, it's kind of more like a lecture opposed to a conversation. And we want to have conversations when we're out with people. So I think maybe like a little book, a couple of slides, or a couple of samples of this is what we're going to do for you. Furniture industry, bring some swatches of some fabrics, you know, bring some design magazines that outline what an office can look like. Movers, bring a couple sample boxes to help them judge what's going to happen. Outline the time frame for them. Outline that it's probably going to be, you know, it might not be the smoothest transition because there's going to be a couple of mistakes, and these are what can happen. But definitely talk to them. Have resources there at your ready that you can show them. Pictures speak volumes. Also testimonials, videos, right? I mean, if you can't get somebody on the phone and they keep saying, just send me some information or a presentation, and you know that they're not going to be interested in a PowerPoint, maybe it's a video you send them. Hey, this is our latest move. We just moved a 6,000 square foot office, 150 employees. We did all their telecom services for them. This is what it looked like, right? And then walk them through all the steps from greeting them at the door to turning on their phone system. I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, feel free to email me. I know we're really up against it with time. But any other questions, feel free to email me or give me a call. The phone number is 610-449-2056. My extension is 7670. My email is frank.craig, C-R-A-I-G, at wendovercorp.com. Feel free to reach out to me. And I hope this was very helpful. Yes, Shannon.
So for those who asked questions that we didn't get to, don't worry, we have those questions on file, so we'll get back to you.
Yes, I'll make sure that I answer all of those questions for you. And if you want to be included in on any of the questions that weren't answered, please email us, and we can supply you with the questions that were asked and how they were answered. Thank you, everyone, for taking time today. I hope that this was an informative hour, and we really appreciate the opportunity to help you grow your business. And again, if there's anything that I can be of assistance with, please don't hesitate to call. And most importantly, I hope everyone has a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.